Hello, kidney warriors. James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach. And this is another episode of Dadvice TV Live. And tonight we're doing one of your guys' favorite sessions, a live Q&A with an actual renal dietitian. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know my recommendation is to always include a dietitian, and if possible, a renal dietitian as a member of your healthcare team to help you manage kidney disease, take control of your diet, not be afraid of food, enjoy eating again. They are a wealth of information, and they are kind of the secret to success, living a wonderful, outstanding, pleasureful life while you happen to have kidney disease. Hello, Debbie there, and hello, Tyler. Great to see you. Now, let me go ahead and let's bring on my co-host from the amazing Facebook group, Plant Powered Kidneys, and the website, Plant Powered Kidneys, and the group that can help you learn how to, do so many things. Remember, she's going to talk about something that's coming up tomorrow that you can register for free. Please welcome from plantpoweredkidneys.com, renal dietitian, Jen Hernandez. Hey, Jen.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody. So thrilled to be back and excited to jump into another one of our live Q&As. Hopefully, we're going to cover some fun topics tonight about nutrition and chronic kidney disease. But really quick, my name is Jen Hernandez. I am a registered dietitian and I specialize in kidney nutrition. That is how I came into creating Plant Powered Kidneys back in 2018. I have been working with kidney patients in all stages and situations since I started then, and even before when I worked back in dialysis and CKD clinics. So I am thrilled to come to you tonight to help give you support, information, education, and just overall more ideas of what you can do to eat better to support your kidney health. If you want to learn more about us, you can find tons of information on our website at plantpoweredkidneys.com. And I am hosting a live class tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern or 9 a.m. Pacific time, all about how to use food journaling to understand your kidney nutrition. This is one of the first things I always recommend with patients and students when it comes to figuring out what your renal diet means. So if you are able to register, we'll have the link here for you. I know I sent it over to James, and yep, I have it on Facebook as well. Awesome. You can register for this live class. It'll be a live training. It will be recorded, and anyone who registers will get access to the recording afterwards. But you'll be able to learn about what it looks like to use a food journal tracker to understand your own kidney nutrition, because one of the foundational things that we talk about here is how everyone's diet is different. And so we can give general ideas and recommendations and suggestions, but it doesn't always mean that you have to stick to exactly what somebody else is doing, because your diet can be very different. So understanding what it means for your diet is the number one thing you should be focusing on before you try any other crazy ideas or diet tips from all over the internet and all the places in the world that you come across.
And I'll tell you, my own personal experience using a food journal like Chronometer or Chronometer, whatever it's called, I always say it wrong, which you're going to have a free class on, is so freeing in your choices of food, because instead of saying, what can I eat? It's more of, ooh, that's what I want to eat. How much of it can I fit in my diet? And you're kind of fitting things in. So it really opens up the whole world to you. And instead of focusing on individual foods, you're focusing on the nutritional value and the minerals and vitamins, nutrients that are within that food, and making it all fit within your personal goals. And it's just, no longer afraid of food. So let's go ahead. So the link is in the description, and Jen has it on the Plant Powered Kidneys Facebook page. So let's go ahead. We got questions coming in. Here's one from Angie's Cooking Channel. I love cooking channels. Even if I can't cook, I love watching people, and I'm trying to learn. And as a matter of fact, I even cooked lunch today. So I'm getting better. I'm starting to get back into cooking, which is something I discovered I enjoy. Angie says, her name's Angie. Her husband has stage 3 IgA blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying, Jen. High protein 2800 creatine. I'm guessing she's outside of the United States because the way she wrote 2800. What's some advice for a diet? Maybe some general advice.
So, yeah, the good news, the silver lining, which I know not every kidney patient gets this, but stage 3 is an earlier diagnosis when it comes to kidney disease. Most people learn about it in stage 4 and oftentimes stage 5. So, stage 3 is a really good opportunity to make some healthy changes in the diet. For one, it's really important to get enough, but not too much protein. So, starting with general guidelines, the recommended dietary allowance for protein is 0.8 grams per kilogram of your body weight. That's where we start off with. And then in some cases, some kidney patients might go lower, some might go higher. It really gets individualized beyond that. But there is a lot of caution because with a low protein diet, which some people in the later stages can go into, you don't want to go too low, especially without medical oversight, without a dietitian, because there is a high risk of malnutrition, nutritional deficiencies. So make sure you're getting an adequate amount of protein. We do like to have more protein coming from plants more than animals. And it doesn't mean that a person has to go entirely plant-based or entirely vegan, but even doing some swaps when you're able to go from an animal to a plant protein, that can be really kidney protective. It increases more of the nutrients that a person gets with all of the vitamins and minerals that come along with the plant protein. Not to mention the fiber that's more prevalent in plant protein. It's not found in animal protein, but it is a great benefit from plants. So that can be a really excellent thing to look at as well. Now, with IgA nephropathy specifically, there is some research looking at a gluten-free diet and how gluten-free can be protective for IgA nephropathy specifically. So that might be worth looking into with a healthcare provider to, number one is understanding what kind of goals and labs you want to be tracking to make sure you're on the right path. So make sure you talk with your healthcare provider about that, what that would look into. And then of course, since we're getting into this diet information, it's really important to work one-on-one with a dietitian so that they can be the ones to give you that oversight. They'll give you a full nutrition prescription, the calories, the protein, the fiber, the potassium, carbohydrates, all kinds of things that are important to make sure that you're getting the right amounts, or in this case, your husband is getting the right amounts. So I would definitely recommend asking for a referral for a dietitian to be able to get more in depth into what exactly can be done. And then just kind of the final tip I would say would be to be really careful with sodium. Most people with kidney disease should be following a low sodium diet, or at least under the 2,300 milligrams, which is kind of standard for a healthy diet. So keeping underneath that is a safe bet when it comes to kidney disease, unless you have maybe a more rare situation in which you need more sodium. But again, make sure you talk with your doctor to understand where you should be at when it comes to these different nutrition parameters.
Yeah, and you covered several people's questions with your answer. Gigi was asking about protein with CKD3A, which you just covered. And it is important, everyone out there, we're talking in general here, but working with your own healthcare team, whether it's your family doctor, a nephrologist. And I haven't found many nephrologists that are good at diet. So that's why I also recommend a dietitian of some sort, at least a real dietitian or a renal dietitian, which is another level above that. They got specialty in kidney disease to find out exactly what's the right amount of everything for you. It depends on your environment. If you're, outside sweating a lot, you might need some more of this, some more of that. Your activity level, other health issues. So we all truly are different. But you covered quite a few of them there, Jen. Here is one that we see from time to time. Know what time? I can't tell what their name is, but they said, I have lost weight from 127 to 99 pounds. The creatine is on the high side. They were told by their doctor, I'm assuming, because your doctor, your healthcare team is who should tell you to limit protein or any other limits. how can they gain weight and restore muscle loss? We see people asking questions about gaining weight quite often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is a common concern with CKD patients, I would say, um, that a lot of the things around the typical traditional old renal diet, however you want to call it, it's all about limiting things. We talk about limiting sodium, we talk about limiting potassium, phosphorus, protein, in some cases carbohydrates. And so this old diet mentality just goes, the summary of it is basically it cuts down on calories. And it is incredibly important for kidney patients to be eating plenty of calories. We need our energy because, especially with kidney disease, the body is trying to do a lot and the kidneys are trying to do a lot to continue to take care of you. So it's very important to get enough calories for your own body. Now, working one-on-one, working individually with a dietitian, they will be able to give you a very specific calorie goal. They can also help give you ideas of how to create meals to get enough calories. One of the things that I all very often use is the recommendation of adding more healthy fats to the diet. So we talk about adding oils. I was just talking with a client earlier this afternoon about getting enough calories. And so we looked at their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. For breakfast, we talked about doubling the portions of some of their foods that they were eating, the avocado and the bread, because they were doing avocado toast in the morning. For lunch, we talked about getting adding more oil onto the sandwich when they were doing oil and vinegar on a veggie sandwich. We talked about finding a more high calorie smoothie when they were doing a smoothie for lunch instead. And then at dinner, we talked about adding more beans. They were having vegetable soup. And we said, okay, we need to get more nutrients in here. So adding beans into that is going to give plant protein as well as fiber. It's going to give more of those calories as well. And that could be helpful. But really looking at where can you add more food in? And oftentimes healthy fats are a really solid way to go. So whether it's like a handful of nuts for a snack, or it's adding a little extra mayonnaise on a sandwich or the oil and vinegar, something like with a healthy fat can be really, really powerful, and a little goes a long way. So that's one of my just tried and true go-to is finding ways to add healthy fats into the diet.
Perfect. Yes. And for those that really need to add in the extra calories but don't want the bulk of the food, it's amazing how much calories you can add in throughout the day by using the oils, the healthy oils. And
Mm-hmm.
they taste good.
Yeah. I mean, what a great way to get more veggies in if you like saute them in some avocado oil or olive oil. You know, if
Mhm.
you add some seeds into a salad, like it doesn't take very much, but it does add up.
Yep. Now here's one that's not really diet related, but I think you'll have a good opinion on it. Um, Denise says CKD3A numbers are stable, and she would only like to see her doctor once a year. Her doctor's asking for every 6 months. What's your um, opinion on that?
Well, I can understand the desire to not want to go to the doctor's office. I think that's, all of us are like, okay, if I can just not have to deal with this, then that would be great. Although I do know quite a few people that want to go to the doctor more often because they want more feedback. I think it also depends on the relationship that you might have with your doctor. So I hope it is a good relationship. And if it's not, it is your right to find a different practitioner that you do feel more comfortable with. So getting a second opinion or finding somebody else is more than likely within your realm of possibilities. But when it comes to this treatment plan, the first of all, it's really great to see that it's stable with stage 3A. And in order to help ensure that it stays stable, it probably is within the best interest to go every 6 months, because the things that can happen when it's too far or it takes too much time between these check-ins is all of a sudden things can go bad without realizing it. I see it especially in the cases when healthcare professionals say you don't need to make any changes and just do whatever you want to do and everything's fine and you don't have to worry about it now. We'll just check later. And then people don't make any changes. They don't pay attention to what's going on. They don't look at the foods they're choosing or their lifestyle. And then they get their labs checked and the doctor is like, oh my gosh, what have you done? Your labs are all over the place. And then it can turn into a full-blown panic mode because all of a sudden the numbers are so off. So I think every 6 months is a safe bet. And then maybe after a couple of those 6-month check-ins, maybe your doctor will say once a year it would be better. But doctors probably will stick to that 6 months for chronic kidney disease because it is a chronic illness, which means it will be there. And they do want to keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I love getting labs. As a matter of fact, on a less positive note, my daughter was in the ER a few times this weekend, 3 times, with some breathing problems. And at one point they wanted to get labs for her, and she absolutely hates needles. She was panicking. And I was like, oh, well, how about if you watch them take mine? I was like, it's been a little bit. I could use an extra set of labs just to see where I'm going. But the important part of getting checked somewhat frequent is that the symptoms of CKD, especially when you're early like that, you may not know if you're starting to decline, and you can catch it so much earlier to make adjustments before things get really out of whack. And like Jen said, you're then kind of in a bit of a panic to try to right the ship. You can find the problem earlier and take care of things. And for me, when I see my labs, it gives me a lot of relief. Like, yeah, still doing good. I got it. Now, we had a great question here. Kim asked, do I need to see some type of special dietitian, or can just a regular dietitian help? Can you talk about when to use, or when it's better to work with a renal dietitian over just a standard dietitian? I don't mean to say standard dietitian as if it's not great. Any dietitian is fantastic to work with. You're in the right direction.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's very similar to your doctors, right? You have your primary doctor who's kind of seeing over everything and then has referrals out to specialists because those doctors, your nephrologist, focuses on kidneys. And that's what they do day in and day out. So they have more knowledge and information and have more tools to be able to use to help with your kidneys. It's a very similar thing with dietitians. There are generalized dietitians who see all kinds of patients all over the board, and it is a lot. I've done that before, working in a hospital, and you just have to cover everybody who gets a dietitian referral, and we don't have the time or the brain power to get in depth with all different kinds of health conditions. And so while it can be great, absolutely wonderful to work with a dietitian that you can get your hands on, you want to see somebody, if they're not specialized, you have plant-powered kidneys as a resource, and you can give them, I know tons of dietitians that use plant-powered kidneys as a resource for themselves and for their patients as well. So we're more than happy to be a resource for a dietitian who doesn't specialize in kidney disease. But you can also look into a dietitian that solely works with people who have kidney disease, because these are the type of dietitians, myself and others, that have like a CSR behind their name or focus only with renal patients. We are doing this day in and day out, and we are working with patients, and we are studying the research, and we are really we have a deeper level of understanding when it comes to the kidneys. Now, I mean, there's dietitians that specialize in GI health. There's pediatric dietitians, and those are subjects that I cannot get into as deep of a knowledge base as they can, because they have different specialties. So, in these different situations, this can apply for other conditions that you might have. If you want to focus on something, a specific situation or health condition for yourself, you can look for a dietitian that specializes in something that you want help with. And oftentimes they do have a lot of great resources and information that somebody who's trying to cover all the bases, they just might not be aware of. They might not be in the world of renal or gut or oncology or something like that. So, there is something to be said about specializing. But again, if you can't find, because we are a needle in a haystack for sure, I know that. And if you can't find a renal dietitian to work with, finding a dietitian to work with, asking your doctor for a referral to a dietitian they know, that can be a great place to start. And again, we will be more than happy to support dietitians who are supporting you.
Yep. Very, very good. All right. I'm going to answer a quick question that came through for me about Renadyl, which is a probiotic designed for kidney patients. I've been taking it for, well, probably 4.5 years now. And Jennifer asked me, she said, I heard you take your 2 tablets every morning. They're taking one in the morning and the afternoon. It doesn't matter when you take them. When you first start taking Renadyl, you tend to get a little gassy. So splitting them, taking 1 tablet in the morning and one later in the day, helps cut down on the potential of a little toot, especially if you're going into work or anything. My body's so used, so I take my 2 pills in the morning and swallow I take it with my whole morning dose of all my other medications for blood pressure in the morning. So if anyone out there is wondering, just take them whenever is convenient to you. And as you get used to it, the risk of developing some gas goes away. All right, we have one that just came through. I definitely wanted to get here. From Nancy. This common problem. One site says this is bad. One says it's good. What should I do? What's the truth? And here she's talking about hot tea. There we go.
Yeah. I don't think the trend of fear mongering is ever going to go away. If somebody can jump up on a soapbox and talk about how something is bad for you and how it's going to kill you, but somehow we have been consuming it for so long and the human race has somehow survived, there's that to be said at least. So anytime that someone is saying, this is terrible for you, do not have this. First of all, if it's talking about kidneys, then the only thing that's really solidly proven is star fruit. That's the only thing in the renal diet that we're saying
exactly
absolutely you cannot have. Most everything else is up for negotiation when it comes to what you want to include in your diet. So, that basically answers it. But tea in itself, when we are talking about kidney disease, one of the things we talk about is staying adequately hydrated. You want to make sure you get enough fluids. And tea, coffee, juice, even sodas. I mean, I wouldn't say sodas are like the best choice, but anything that's fluid, that's liquid, counts towards hydration. So tea does count for that. The caveat to that would be that with teas, there's a lot of like detox teas and herbal teas that might not necessarily be safe for the kidneys. So don't get too crazy with the choices of teas that you make. Look for like the really basic ones, the ones that you could pretty much order in any coffee shop, the ones that you'll find in the grocery store that you're not going to have to be digging through looking for. We're thinking of peppermint, chamomile, green tea, black tea, Earl Grey type of black tea, like the standard ones. Don't get too crazy, but those are going to be kidney safe and they help hydrate you.
All right, here's a question for both of us. We'll weigh in on this from Deborah, saying, how long did it take you to go from stage 5 to stage 3? Here's the thing with the stages. Everyone is different. It can take who knows how long to go. And most people go down. You start 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. I was one of the lucky ones that I was diagnosed at stage 5 and I was able to get up to the very bottom of stage 3, and I'm right there at stage 4, stage 3. But after so long and working with so many doctors, my doctors believed that I had CKD, and then I did have something with food I ate that caused me to get sick, the vomiting, the diarrhea. I got dehydrated, which is an AKI, an acute kidney injury, on top of CKD, which pushed me down to stage 5. And once that was addressed, over the next few months, my kidneys were able to recover or better deal with me to where my labs estimate my kidney function to be right on that stage 3, stage 4 border. But there is no, hey, if you're stage 4 and you want to get to stage 3, doing all the right things, you'll get it in this amount of time. No, There is no guaranteed solution. And anyone out there selling that, and there are a lot of people selling that, it's all fake. No one can promise that. You live as healthy of a life as you can, do the best you can, see where you go. And my happiness came from eliminating all my symptoms, where I don't have any symptoms and I'm not afraid of food. So I'm living life. I've got my future planned. I'm planning my retirement, getting a house in southern Italy, living there, a beach, my kids visiting it, traveling throughout Europe. I'm moving forward, and I'm not planning to have any symptoms for as long as I can by managing my blood pressure, eating as healthy as I can. I still have a little addiction to carbs. I got to work on that. I'm trying. I need to get out in the sun and exercise some more and get some color and stuff too. But what would you say to someone who's asking about time between the stages, Jen?
Yeah, there is no set timeline, unfortunately. The only thing that we know is that chronic kidney disease is a chronic illness with no cure. And so anybody can go through any stage, jumping around at any point in time. And that's kind of tying back into that question before about how often should I be seeing my doctor? That's why you don't want to go too far apart, because there is uncertainty with it. So I have seen patients that have gone from stage 5 to stage 3. I have seen people go from stage 3 back to normal kidney function. I've had people maintain in stage 5 and stay there for years and get a transplant without dialysis and been able to take care of their kidneys, and all in between. So yeah, there's no set timeline, and that's a good and bad thing, in a sense that you won't have like a doomsday clock anywhere as far as knowing that your kidneys are doomed to fail. You just need to keep taking care of them, and you can continue to have your kidneys do what they need to be doing.
All right, here's a great question from Kim. I've gotten this exact same response from my doctor. Kim asked her doctor about a dietitian. The first thing her doctor told her was, hey, your insurance probably isn't going to cover it. What's your advice? And we did a whole show about this, but in the last few moments we got here, what's your advice for someone?
Yeah, I like the way she finished that and said, how about you let me worry about that? Like, let's just do what we got to do. So one of the things that I definitely recommend is when you bring it up and they say, for in whatever context, they basically say, don't worry about it, or I'm not going to do that. You just say, okay, can you please write that down in our note for today's visit that you're declining me a dietitian recommendation or a dietitian referral? And then I'll take that to my health insurance company and we'll see what we can figure out. And they'll switch their tune pretty quickly when they know that they have to document that they're refusing a dietitian referral to you, because you can talk to your health insurance provider and find dietitians that are in your health insurance network that you can see. And we do have an article on plantpoweredkidneys.com. If you just search insurance in our blog, we have like a step-by-step guide of the questions to ask your health insurance company to find out what kind of coverage you get in working with the dietitian and what that would entail for you. So many people do have fully covered sessions with a registered dietitian. Depends on your insurance, but some will have several sessions. Some will have unlimited sessions. I know you talked about that before, how you've been able to get extensions on yours,
Yep.
James. So it really depends on your plan, and your doctor can make some things happen, but you can also reach out to dietitians and you can ask them if they take your insurance, or there is out-of-pocket opportunities where you could pay and then you give the receipt to your health insurance company and they might give you reimbursement. I've had clients do that before too. So there's a lot of different opportunities, but check out plantpoweredkidneys.com and look up our insurance tips there to find out more ways of how you can find a dietitian in your network.
Yeah, and my family doctor has always been great at finding ways, legitimate ways, to code it so that I can get visits. Either it's for, I'm overweight, so hey, your insurance will cover, a few visits to talk about diet for weight loss, pre-diabetes. There's some that are covered for that. So I encourage you, work with your doctor. And it doesn't have to be your nephrologist. It could be your family doctor that can give you that referral. All right, Jen, we are at the top of the hour. Do you want to try to squeeze one more in? You
Yeah,
kick it?
I did see one that was put in about alpha-lipoic acid, and that has been kind of a thing that's been coming up. So I felt like maybe we could touch on it for just a second.
Very good. From Tyler.
Yes. So is alpha-lipoic acid good for a CKD diet? And basically, there is some research that is looking at the potential of this antioxidant being kidney protective, but it's really in animal studies. And so we don't have the research to show that it's good for humans. However, if you wanted to include more plants in your diet, because ALA can be found in plants like spinach, broccoli, carrots, you can find it in these plants and have some there. Now, I don't recommend supplementing it at this point because, again, the research isn't there to prove that it's effective. Because, again, any supplement that we are looking into for our patients, we are looking into what the goal or the outcome is. What would we be measuring and looking for a reduction or an improvement in this supplement? And so they are looking at C-reactive protein or CRP, but again, it's such limited research at this point that it's not enough to say it's for sure safe for kidney patients, and we don't know the dose of what it would be to be effective. So at this point, it's just too early to say if it would be a safe and effective supplement.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Jen. It is always fantastic to have you here. And this is such a resource for people out there to be able to ask questions, hear answers, our scientific, positive approach to managing and living with kidney disease. If all of you out there, give the video a thumbs up. That helps YouTube ensure that other people out there find it. There is a lot of scams out there promoting cures, magic things that flush, heal, restore, rebuild kidneys. Those are all fake. We need to help get the good stuff so that people go to legitimate people like Jen, go to nephrologists, and not get all the information solely from people who aren't professionals in the kidney community. All right, Jen will be back here next month again doing a live Q&A. So if you have questions, you can save them for then, or join her Facebook group, Plant Powered Kidneys. It's a fantastic group. So many wonderful people in there sharing ideas, sharing recipes, taking pictures of their foods. That's still my favorite part of the group, is just scrolling through, looking at all the ideas. And I'm starting to get back into cooking again. So I'm going to start implementing some of those ideas. And I might chime in from time to time, say, hey, I made that one. Thanks for suggesting it. And I learned so many new things to mix together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, really fun to be in there. And I love answering the questions and, keeping a positive vibe in that group. It's really, really fun.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Jen. We'll see you next month. And I'll see all the rest of you in the next video. Bye, everyone.